Alright, so we have currently done, as you can see, I've glued all 4 points to make sure that battery unit stays. This is my contraption of cables because I don't have this type of plug. I've been using a 3-way connector and it's been working so far. Hasn't had any issues with the batteries, so just make sure you get a high gauge wire so it can put up with the torture. I'll be switching to floats shortly, so as we go through that, I'm going to see how to angle this correctly so you guys can see me at work. So, quite simple. There's a few things you need to worry about when it comes to landing gear. There's obviously your main area of focus is your springs. I've got new springs on the way, so they're not going to be as crooked, and they're going to be, hopefully, stay. I like the Cub S landing gear, which I've flown. I've done my first maiden flight. Wasn't the funnest flight either because of the power in that. Was not happy with it. I was happy with the plane, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to flying in high winds, I wouldn't go down much, so I had to put it in expert mode just to get it back to the ground. So for when you're starting, I wouldn't recommend flying in high winds because it messes with you, and it doesn't work with the telemetry either. Now you use most of the landing gear screws to go on to the actual water floats. So I've got them here. Never tried float water takeoff before, but I know you got to use a bit more throttle when it comes to that. And it's good to know that with the floats, they're quite agile, and it keeps the plane weighted. So that is a bonus because with weight, there's less chance for rolling. Like I've nearly rolled a few planes in my time, which is good if you know how to do that, but like myself, I'm teaching myself how to fly, so it's self-taught. Done a lot of simulators and play a fair bit of Xbox, so I get an understanding of aerodynamics and how that works and comes into play when it's affecting the aircraft. So in that retrospect, it's a lot of learning with the new receiver, the Spectrum. I haven't fully worked that out yet and how to assign switches, so I'll be doing that today before I head off, which is assigning switches which is quite easy, of course. Okay, so they're in. Just make sure they're tight because you're going to be dealing with a fair bit of water. And just to be extra safe on the flip side, put your once you put the battery in, put some electrical tape over it. So what I would do, like I've never flown off before, but going by what I've been taught by a few people on YouTube, is just try and get a seal as best as you can, and if you have to, add some more electrical tape around the edges of where your battery sits, because this design, as this is the first turbo timber, has some flaws when it comes to fixing with the water issue. So you get a lot of water in the bottom of the fuselage, which that's why you've got breathing holes at the rear, but I've made the battery non-waterproof in a way by doing the splicing, but it shouldn't affect it too much unless it gets into the servo, which it shouldn't. Fingers crossed. But I love this turbo timber. I've got no issues with it whatsoever. So when it comes to flipping it over, put it down at the back with these pins. You have pins. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, you got pins, right? Now these pins, what you do is just, well, before I get into the pins, I get two of the landing gear screws, because they fit in here perfectly. And then underneath you have a little gold nipple at the back here, as you can see on my other side of that landing gear. I just screw in just enough. Just enough so makes it nice and firm. I've got some feral children, so if you hear my partner in the background, don't worry. 3-year-olds do it to you, especially when they don't behave. 3 going on freaking 33, I say. Alright, so what I do, make sure it's straight, of course. Push it in just enough so it's straight. Yep. Okay, so that's right in line. And what I do there is just screw it down so it's nice and straight, and it stays with the plane. It's the same thing on the other side. So we'll do that now. So I can set that up for you. This one was a bit finicky when I first put these props on these gears. Okay. Just to make sure it's straight. Just make sure it's in line with the lines of the aircraft. So this one's got to come in a slight touch. It's all about trial and error when it comes to flying. Yeah, about there. Sorry you can't see much, but I'll go over it once I've done it. Alright. So up the back here, you can see the two screws at the bottom that are now tight into these pins. The only way the pins are going to come out is if they fall out, so that's a plus. And looking at this, it's looking not too bad for a float plane. I'll probably keep the floats on because it's quite a good aircraft when it comes to flying, like that I've seen online, when it comes to flying in water. So I'll probably use this for my flying thing. So water plane. I was told these floats after a while they start to get shitty, but we'll see what happens. I've always got the landing gear in the background to replace if I need to. Never tried landing on grass either, so it might be a thing. Giving it a go in grass. Yeah, but that's it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed that little bit. I'm just going to go over a little bit. So what I've done is put the floats on, fix the battery compartment, got a white electrical tape around the bottom just to help the seal, and I've got the new prop on, so that's all nice and dandy, ready to go. I just haven't had a power run yet. Got the servo in, it's just taped in, so it's quite okay so far. So I'll be plugging a battery in shortly and going over a few things with it. Alright guys, that's it for me today. Understand it's quite a long video and just rambling on and giving you a quick overview, but that's what we're looking at, and this is my current setup. So, and I'm currently working on that over there and that plane up there, but that's in a future video. I will see you guys in the next one. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Go follow us on Facebook. Message us if you got any broken RCs or things that you don't use anymore, because I'm happy to pay postage for you, and also I'm happy to buy if you're willing to sell it, because I fix them up, or I can fix them up for you and send it back to you for a charge, of course, just depending on how much damage it is, and we'll see how we go. Alright, thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you when this thing's in the air.